Great Sword. Is completely fine and balanced. 10,000 damage in the first 30 seconds of a hunt. Oh, I love this weapon, and well, welcome to all of you who love it too. Today, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Present to you the best greatsword build in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. The mathematically correct answer to what does the most damage with this, the most damaging weapon. Seriously. Imagine just casually in the middle of a hunt, the monster falls asleep, and then you just pull, I don't know, damage out of nowhere. Because why not? And it can go even higher, much higher. Oh, Gog, our arms are strong.
My power is maximal!
I seriously love this moment in every new Monster Hunter game where I can share with you the best way to, or at least the most damaging way to play the weapon that I have played since Monster Hunter 1, have fallen in love with, and have thousands upon thousands of hours with. Oh, and as we get into all of the nitty gritty here, I would really appreciate it if you guys could true charge slash that like button, and maybe subscribe and hit the bell for more greatsword goodness, as we will be your one-stop shop for everything to do with this weapon. Trust me, it is my baby. And I really cannot express how much time has gone into working out the best of everything for you all to enjoy, so it really would mean a lot to me. The best greatsword build then starts with the step 1 of what's the best greatsword. And in Sunbreak, given that, yes, there is a rare 10 greatsword for essentially everything, well, that's a lot of working out to do. But don't worry, I have done it. I have gone over every single greatsword, worked out its effective true raw, and, well, ranked them accordingly. Though it goes even deeper than that. Let me show you what I mean. So to work out how good a weapon is, you have to take in a few factors. Its sharpness, its affinity, its slots. Now, slots is something to begin with here, because basically we require a greatsword with at least a level 2 rampage slot. The reason for that is the existence of the exploit decorations. They are 5 or 10%, depending on which one you use, more damage to the monster in question. And given that the biggest part of endgame is hunting afflicted monsters that have 1 billion health, and these decorations work on them, yeah, it's a very big deal. So any greatsword that doesn't have a 2-slot rampage slot gets kinda sadly eliminated, which breaks my heart because Malzeno Greatsword is one of my favorite greatsword designs ever, certainly my favorite in Sunbreak, and for now, it must relax there, left to gather dust at the smithy. I'm sorry. So, with that in mind then, how else do we do this? Well, let's take the Tigrex Greatsword as an easy example. It has 350 raw on it. It has purple sharpness. Purple sharpness increases your damage by 1.39, or 39%. So, 350 times 1.39, we get ourselves a nice number of 486.5. So, we'll call it 487. But hang on, there is minus 15% affinity, which we need to take into account. The TLDR on this is a crit does 25% more damage. So if a weapon had 100% affinity, that would be worth plus 25% damage. Same in the reverse direction. As this weapon will deal 25% less damage 15% of the time, well, you simply work out what 15% of 25 is, which is 3.75, and then we reduce that 487 by, well, 3.75%, or times it by 0.9625. This ultimately gets us a final value for the Tigrex Greatsword of 468, which is a decent starting point. And there you have the kind of example of how this works. Now, we also need to talk about slots on a weapon. So for example, if a weapon has a single 2 slot, what can you put in that? Well, you could put an attack in, you could put a crit eye in. They're the basic, most simplest, effective answers. And in each case, that is worth about a gain of 2% damage. So for example, if you go from 6 attack to 7, you're gaining 2% damage, literally. If you add 5% affinity from a critical eye, and you have 3 crit boost, 5% more chance to do plus 40% damage is a 2% damage increase overall. Now obviously this isn't perfect, but we need some kind of mathematical model to allow for the power gain from having extra slots on your weapon to fit extra offensive skill. So 2% per is a fair and reasonable one, not too high, not too low. With that in mind then, I present to you the 10 best greatswords in Sunbreak. Yes, indeed. An interesting list, is it not? Now, I have allowed then for the sharpness amount, which is a factor because if you only have 10 hits of purple and you're sharpening constantly, well, the damage loss from that downtime is massive. So I have gone for 30 hits of purple being the sweet spot where it is comfy, anything extra is extra comfy, and anything less you need handicraft to get to 30. From practice that is about right for, well, sharpening not too often, and is what we're kind of aiming for. So you've got to understand here that looking at this list, anything that needs handicraft means a slot needs to get used for handicraft instead of a damage skill. Which means if you want to play in a comfy manner, which if you're not a speedrunner you do, well, everything that says needs X handicraft on this list, their actual number is appreciably lower. How much lower? Well, 2% lower per handicraft that it needs because we're losing a slot, and as we've gone over, a slot is worth about 2% damage. Now, I realize this is a massive roundabout way to basically say, hey, the Chimera Legacy Greatsword is the best greatsword in base Sunbreak. But the thing is, I want to show and prove and tell you guys why. I want you to understand the methodology. I want you to be able to look at greatswords and evaluate themselves too. And ultimately, I want you to know I'm not just making this up. So, there we have it then. Chimera Legacy with its 330, its 30 hits of purple, and its 2 slots for us to use with a 2 rampage slot is the overall best greatsword. It strikes that perfect balance of power and comfort that really isn't matched by anything else in the game currently. But, that said, the actual difference between the 10th and 1st place here is obviously not crazy, and really anything on this list you can go for if that's the aesthetic of the greatsword you like. For example, while I will be telling you the pure best builds today, you will be seeing me in other videos using the Royal or the greatsword because, well, I really like its aesthetic, and I'm only losing 12 raw in that choice, along with gaining so much purple that you basically never have to sharpen, which helps bridge that gap, though not completely. In any case, we have our greatsword. Now we need our set. So without further ado, I will simply reveal it. And there you have it. Now, of course, I am not using a talisman equipped here, as obviously I don't know what talismans you guys have access to, and we'll deal with that little niggle once we've gone over the armor itself. So, as you can see, it is a pretty decent base here. We get 4 crit eye, 4 attack boost, Wex is almost full, we've got 2 offensive guard, and yes, I will link my full Greatsword Sunbreak guide down below, but yes, it is important to note that Strongarm stance does trigger offensive guard with the right timing, making it one of our most valuable skills for a 15% damage increase on the move, well, that will result in most of our damage from Strongarming into true charge. Indeed, to talk your swap scrolls for a moment, well, red and blue should both look like this. The only real difference is adamant on one and Strongarm on the other for that little bit of mobility utility, but other than that, the playstyle is very solidly counter hit with true charge as many times as you can until the monster is dead. Nothing competes with it, which means yes, this build is tailored towards that, and if you do prefer running Surge Slash, for example, or indeed just not using Strongarm, then feel free to replace the offensive guard with, well, any other skills that you desire. But of course, I am here to tell you tippy top best, which means the tippy top best build for the tippy top best way to play. tippy-top. In any case then, this is the priority order of skills for Greatsword. And how to read this is, okay, I am building a set. The first thing I need to make sure I have is one Wirebug Whisperer, because Strongarm is so important, having at least that rank 1 for an extra 30% time on third Wirebug is key. Then I need to get 3 Weakness Exploit and 3 Crit Boost into the set. Those 6 ranks of skill together is worth plus 20% damage. That's great. Then I want to get 3 Offensive Guard in here, as that's worth 15% damage. Then I want to get 4 attack at least for that extra 5% damage. Then I want to get maximum crit eye. That's going to be worth the most next damage. Then I want to finish attack. Then I want to get resentment if I have any space. And then some stun resist and grinder is my ideal 1-slot utility skills. So that kind of hopefully makes sense in terms of how to look at this and how we end up building this set. So we essentially look for and choose the armor pieces that help us get as deep down that list as possible, and then fill out the decorations to again get as deep down that list as possible. So before we fill said decorations in, let's actually talk the armor. Lunagaron Helmet is wonderful. 2 Crit Eye and a Wirebug Whisperer is 3 skills that we need, plus 2 slots for space for 2 more skills that we need. So you can look at Lunagaron Helmet as plus 5 to the amount of skills that we need to go down that list with, which is really efficient. We use the Archfiend chest from the final boss because, again, it gives us 2 slots and a weakness exploit, which is only plus 3 compared to, well, Lunagaron's plus 5, but it still remains the most efficient chest. The only contender would be something like Baroth chest, but that gives a 2 attack and a 2 slot, which is also plus 3, except the Archfiend also offers a resentment, which we love because Strongarm stance results in red health, which means resentment is active for the counter true charge, and it also gives chain crit. Chain crit for a few seconds will give you plus 5 raw, and it lasts long enough that the little hit of true charge will activate it, and then the big hit will benefit from it, so we get actually 2 very tangibly useful skills on top of that plus 3 efficiency, if that hopefully makes sense. Then we have Baroth Gloves with an offensive guard, 2 attack boost, and a 2 slot, that is a plus 4. The Squire's Belt, which is ridiculously good, like goddamn Fiorrain. I want to wear your clothes. Oh god. I'm sorry. This gives us a weakness exploit, a critical boost, a offensive guard, and another slot, which is perfect for another offensive guard, as it's a 3-slot decoration. That's a lovely plus 4, as is Ingot Greaves, which give us 2 attack and 2 crit eye for another plus 4. Absolutely magnificent. And of course, we still have enough 1-slots left over to at least get full stun resist, which is really cool too. In any case, let's pop in the decorations.
Dear God. It's beautiful.
So there we have it, and is that not quite the tasty set of skills, especially considering that we don't actually have a talisman equipped here? This is going to result in you getting some serious power. Oh yes. Now, when it comes to your talisman then, that is empty for me, well, you just want to use it to again fill out as much of that priority list as possible. So if I use my best talisman that I have, will I end up with full attack boost, full crit eye, 3 resentment, 3 critical boost, 3 weakness exploit, 3 offensive guard, 3 stun resistance, and the smattering of extra skills, including the Wirebug Whisperer, that we need. The reason being is I have a 3 crit eye with a 2-slot and a 1-slot talisman, which is obviously, you know, really good, so simply, again, just use whatever talisman gives you the most of the remaining skills in the priority order that I showed you, and you will be good to go. This then results in one hell of a potent set, but I don't just want to tell you that, I don't just want to show you it in it hammering Basil again for 7,000 goddamn damage, I want to show you it with numbers, because of course, numbers do not lie. Let's do this thing. So we begin with our Chimera Cleaver at 330 raw. We add to it our 10 attack from attack, we add to it our 15 attack from resentment, we add to it our 5 attack from chain crit. Yes, chain crit and resentment aren't always going to be active, so this is a little bit generous, but at the same time, you are going to be Strongarm, countering attacks and returning damage. In every single instance you do that, they are going to be active, and that's the vast majority of your damage, so it's not disingenuous to include them here. In any case, that gives us, of course, 360. We times that by 1.1 for the 10% attack increase for 396. We times it again by 1.15, the offensive guard increase from the perfectly timed strong arms. We times it once more by 1.39, the 39% increase of purple sharpness. And lastly, we have 90% affinity and 40% extra damage crits, which translates to a 36% damage increase. So once again, we times it by 1.36, which gives us a grand total effective base damage of 860 that this set is sat at, which, let me tell you, is magnificent and the best you are going to get without either somehow a better talisman than I have, or with the addition of 4-slot like double attack decorations later down the line in the title update, but that will probably also include better greatsword, and basically we'll be doing this all again then. And of course for rampage decoration, if you didn't infer it, is just put whatever the anti-species that you're going to go hunt in for maximum damage. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is your mathematically best greatsword build, and I have very much spent so many hours of my life working this out for you, and I very much hope you have found it both useful and enjoyable. Now, technically speaking, you can do better than 860. You technically can. There is a skill on the final boss armor set, and if you don't want spoilers, I've tried very hard to keep things as spoiler-free as possible, but of course I have to talk about things that result in the best set when making a video about the best set, so turn off now if you don't want to hear the rest of this. But there is a skill on the final boss armor set called Dereliction. Basically, this gives you plus 35 raw, which is massive for sitting in blue scroll. And as we really don't need to swap basically ever as greatsword, that is a fantastic skill for us. The only catch is, while you have this skill on, you're constantly draining health, which is a little bit uncomfortable to say the least to play with. So that's why I've not recommended it, because although that results in a set around the 890 region, well, you also are constantly dying while hunting. So if you would like a further follow-up video on the best Dereliction set, because trust me, it is a very fun way to play, and it's particularly good against afflicted monsters if you're comfortable being aggressive with Blood Blight to heal from the damage that you do, but in any case, it felt a little bit weird to recommend everyone, yeah, just go put on this armor set that slowly kills you constantly. That's a completely fun way to hunt, because I can understand why a lot of you might not want to be hunting like that. So today, it is simply the best generic, safe, highest damage greatsword and greatsword set that you can make for Sunbreak, at least in its current state. Oh, God, I love this weapon. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Until we meet again, consider supporting the future of this channel on Patreon down below. A goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.